absurd that we've gotten to a point that people are trusting this blindly. You mentioned earlier that that Pfizer was the recipient of the largest lawsuit, medical fraud in history, and that's not only because they were misleading people, but they were actually bribing doctors to prescribe their medication. That's part of the lawsuit. They were fined for that. And now we're supposed to trust this company. And I can understand why the politicians push it. You know, they're all in bed together. I get that. But why do the average person, I guess they're just misinformed, gullible, naive. They want to believe. It's easier to believe that the government is actually looking out for you than it is to believe that they're conspiring against you. And we've had the last 2 years the most monumental example that we ever could have asked for, that our governments, Canada's especially, oh my God, I feel so bad for you guys up there, that they hate the people. They hate us, and they don't care how many of us they kill. They really don't. It's all about the profit. And if you want to go even darker, it might not even be just for the profit. They might actually be trying to depopulate us. So it's the most sinister situation you can imagine. And we're in the middle of it, and I don't know how to get out.
Yeah. You know what you said there about depopulation, it sounds conspiratorial, but let me play for you a clip of Bill Gates at a TED Talk where he says, he comes up with this pseudo-scientific formula. How do you save the world? Well, he comes up with a mathematical formula where he talks about the number of people multiplied by the amount of services per person and the carbon per service. And he says, you've got to get one of these factors in my human formula down to zero. And listen to him say it. He says that we need to reduce population. I'll let you listen to him directly. He says by 10 to 15%. That would mean by about 1 billion people. And really weirdly, he says, and I don't understand this, he says vaccines are part of that. Take a listen.
It's an average about 5 tons for everyone on the planet. And somehow we have to make changes that will bring that down to zero. It's been constantly going up. It's only various economic changes that have even flattened it at all. So we have to go from rapidly rising to falling and falling all the way to zero. This equation has 4 factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3.
I mean, I don't know how a guy who says we have to get 1 billion fewer people in the world can also be the same guy who's the chief funder of vaccines and the chief protagonist of vaccines. I don't know if other people like Anthony Fauci share Bill Gates' explicit goal of reducing population by literally 1 billion people or more, but it is pretty creepy. Last word to you. Do you think these fact checks are here to stay? Do you think it was just a pandemic thing, or do you think it's part of the whole denormalize and defame your opposition between the Joe Biden's proposed disinformation board and these, pharmacy-backed fact checkers? Really, I think it's a way of canceling anyone who has a different opinion. What do you think?
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's obvious. It's not going away. It's here to stay, and I think it's going to get a lot worse. This is the only way they can keep us in line is by controlling the information. They know that if we figured out what they were doing, the game would be up. So this is going to be a lot like, Soviet Russia, what's happening in China. They're going to control completely information, and soon enough, they're going to push through their social credit score. And not only are people going to get fact checked for posting wrong information, people are going to lose the ability to go shopping. They won't be able to buy a house. Their bank will close down their accounts. They won't be able to eat. So people are going to be too afraid of thinking the wrong thing or sharing the wrong post or meaning about something to even question what's being told to them. So we're getting into something really dark and sinister right now.
What you just saw was an excerpt from my nightly show, the Ezra Levant Show. Every weekday, I do a monologue. Usually it's about half an hour. Then I interview an interesting guest, and then we read my hate mail or my fan mail, whichever is more fun. It's only available behind a paywall, though. That's how we pay our bills here at Rebel News. We don't take a dime from Justin Trudeau. But the good news is it's only $8 a month, about half the price of Netflix. And in addition to my nightly show, you also get weekly shows from 4 other friends here at Rebel News. So you're getting 36 shows a month just for $8. I think it's worth it. And even if you're not quite sure, do it anyways, because we rely on viewers like you to keep us free and independent. I promise you I'll never take a dime from Trudeau. Just go to rebelnewsplus.com and click subscribe. Thanks.